I lost 70% of my account trying to win back one trade. It started with a small loss, but I couldn't accept it, so I doubled down, then doubled again. Mark Douglas calls this financial suicide. He was right. If you've ever said, "I'll make it back, just one more trade," this video is about you. The day I destroyed myself. Open quote. I lost 70% of my account, not because of the market, but because I couldn't accept a small loss. Close quote. I remember that day vividly, not because of the money, not because of the market, but because I completely lost myself in under an hour. 8:46 a.m. I was sitting in front of the screen like every other day, a cold cup of coffee beside me, a Your USD chart stretched across my main screen with two other pairs on the side monitors. I had a plan that day. I had written down the entry, stop loss, target. I thought I was ready, but no one is ready for the trap they set for themselves. 9:13 a.m. First trade, I entered the trade exactly as planned. Price action, volume analysis, everything aligned. The market moved in my direction for 5 minutes, then reversed. I got stopped out. Loss, 1.2% of the account, a small number within the plan. But the feeling, not small at all. I felt anger. Not because of the money, but because the market didn't listen to me. Open quote, it reversed the moment I entered. That's absurd. These big players are hunting stops. I'm not wrong. The market is, close quote. My logic said don't jump back in, but my emotions screamed, open quote, get it back, regain control, close quote. 9:19 a.m., revenge begins. I opened the same pair again. No clear signal. I didn't wait. I didn't analyze. I hit buy simply because I couldn't accept the loss. Price kept dropping. I lost another 2.5%. I should have stopped, but instead I did the opposite. I doubled the position size. And you know what happened next? The market kept going against me. I closed the trade, now down 12%. At that point, my mind was no longer my own. I started seeing signals that didn't exist. I opened GBP USD. A pin bar candle wasn't even closed. I clicked buy. This time, I used a position 4 times my normal lot size. No more risk management, no more discipline, only a desperate hunger to win back at all costs. That wasn't trading anymore. That was gambling. That was gambling. That was an adrenaline junkie in denial. Red screen. Another loss. Now I'm down 31% in just 25 minutes. Normally I would shut the computer down, but that day I felt insulted. Open quote, the market is messing with me. It can't be wrong 4 times in a row. The next trade will definitely be right. Close quote, I forgot the simple truth. The market doesn't know who I am. It's not playing games with me. I was committing financial suicide while convincing myself I was fighting. 10:04 a.m., 70% gone. I remember that moment so clearly. Price hit my stop. I looked at my account and I had a 70.2%. I didn't feel anything. No anger, no panic, no tears. I just turned off the screen and sat there in silence. Then what? I walked for 2 hours, alone. No headphones, no phone, no clear thoughts. Just one sentence looping in my mind. Open quote, I just destroyed myself and no one made me do it. Close quote. I realized something terrifying. It wasn't about losing money. It was about losing myself. I knew I shouldn't take that trade. I knew I was crossing the line. I knew I was revenge trading. And I still did it. Have you ever done that? Entered a trade, not because of strategy, but because you couldn't stand the pain of losing? Opened the chart right after a stop loss, just to prove you were still right? Held on to a losing trade because, open quote, I can't lose again. Close quote. If yes, you're not alone. I used to be you. This isn't about money. This is about identity. When I look back on that day, I no longer say, open quote, I made a bad trade. Close quote. I say, open quote, I couldn't accept being wrong, so I punished myself. Close quote. I didn't revenge trade to get my money back. I revenge traded to feel like I was in control of something, and that's what killed me. Open quote. It wasn't a loss, it was self-destruction. I did that. No one else. Close quote. If you've ever had a day like that, a day when you knew you were wrong but just couldn't stop, then don't just scroll past this, because in the next part, I won't just explain why you're stuck. I'll show you the way out, step by step. Not theory, not cliches, but the exact things I wish I had known before losing 70%. If you never want to repeat that day, stay tuned. Hit subscribe so you don't miss the next part, because this isn't just about trading. This is about #the hidden trap, revenge trading. Open quote, You think you're fixing the damage, but you're digging a deeper grave. Close quote. I once thought I was regaining control. After losing 70%, I sat down and reviewed every trade. I tried to pinpoint technical flaws, strategy, entry, probabilities. Then it hit me. There was nothing wrong with the strategy. The problem was me. But where did I go wrong? Not knowledge. I had enough. Not analysis. I knew how to read charts. The real mistake was, I became a different person in just a few minutes without even realizing it. What is revenge trading really? You might call it getting back at the market, but in truth, it's you trying to get back at your own emotions. Revenge trading doesn't start with a trade. It starts with a feeling humiliated by an easy loss, refusing to accept the outcome, a need to redeem yourself and prove you're not weak. From that feeling, you start searching for a ticket to reclaim your pride. You tell yourself, open quote, if the next trade wins, I'll be myself again, close quote. Wrong. You don't return to your former self. You become the worst version of yourself. The trap is in the mind, not the chart. Let me tell you a short story. A former student of mine, Nathan, messaged me after a losing streak. Open quote, I only lost 2 trades, but those 2 losses triggered 11 more. I lost all of them. Close quote, I asked, open quote, what made you take those 11 trade, close quote. He replied, open quote, I don't know. I just couldn't take my hand off the mouse, close quote. That's when I realized Nathan wasn't trading anymore. He was reacting, like a body twitching after trauma. The brain reacts like an addict. When you lose a trade, the limbic system, emotional brain, interprets it as a threat to identity. It doesn't distinguish between losing money and losing face. It knows only one thing, open quote, restore balance, fight back, close quote. And like an addict, you click faster, increase lot size, ignore your plan, lie to yourself. The cruelest part, it makes you feel like you're doing the right thing. Revenge trading masquerades as courage. I used to say, open quote, I'm not afraid to lose. I'll get back in. Great traders don't hesitate. I'm strong, close quote. But the truth was, I was rationalizing a chain of impulsive, reckless behavior. It's like breaking your leg in a fall, then trying to sprint just to show the crowd you're fine. You prove nothing. You just destroy yourself further. Signs you're caught in the revenge trap. Re-entering a trade too quickly, within 15 minutes of a loss, increasing lot size without plan, refusing to journal losing trades, wanting to forget, feeling insulted by the market, telling yourself, just one more trade. Stop immediately if you see yourself in any of these. The trap is open and you're nearing the edge. The truth, revenge trading doesn't heal you. It's not healing. It's self-punishment, wrapped in false hope. You think you're restoring balance. In reality, you're paying double in money and in your belief in yourself. And the most cruel part, sometimes you win a revenge trade, and that win, that's what ruins you later. Because it convinces you, open quote, I can control the market with my emotions, close quote. You keep that habit, and one day when it no longer works, you lose everything. Even professional traders fall into the trap. Don't assume this only happens to beginners. I once coached a trader with a 6-figure account. He lost 1 trade due to unexpected news. In the next 90 minutes, he lost over $40,000 because he couldn't walk away from the revenge loop. Afterward, he told me, open quote, I've never felt so small, close quote. You're not weak, you're being hijacked. If you've ever asked, open quote, why can't I stop? I know better, but I still do it, close quote. Understand this, you don't have a knowledge problem, you don't have a logic problem. You're operating under an unconscious emotional program, and that program needs to be rewritten. How I escaped the trap. I began tracking my emotional reactions after every loss. Not the chart, not the stats, but what was I thinking? What did I want to do? What did I tell myself? When I reviewed the pattern, I was shocked. I was behaving like an addict, no different. And like any addiction, if you don't see it as a system issue, you'll never break it. Open quote, revenge trading is not a mistake. It's a predictable emotional pattern. And if you don't face it, it will destroy you again and again. Close quote. Revenge trading isn't just a one-time mistake. It's a recurring emotional reaction that will keep coming back unless you stop to recognize it. And the most dangerous thing, It often appears right after you think you've mastered control. No strategy can save you if deep down you still believe that winning back is how you heal. In the next part, I'll expose an even deeper trap, the belief that knowledge is enough to control behavior. I once thought, open quote, I'm smart, I know how to analyze, I'll never do it again, close quote. But knowledge didn't save me, because once emotions take over, logic becomes a puppet. Now you'll understand why. The more you know, the more dangerous you can become. Why knowledge isn't enough, open quote, I had the strategy, I had the back test, I had the confidence, and yet I lost control. Close quote. I used to believe, open quote, as long as I understand enough, I won't repeat my old mistakes, close quote. And I did understand a lot. I read dozens of books, I studied price action, order flow, Wyckoff, Elliott wave, trading psychology. I backtested 300 trades over 6 months. I had a journal, I had a trading plan, I even had a pre-trade checklist. And yet, I still clicked on a trade outside of my system after a losing streak, as if I had learned nothing. It's not that you're not smart, it's that you're believing in the wrong model. Trading isn't like solving math problems. It's not about memorizing formulas, and it definitely doesn't work like the longer you do it, the better you get. I used to think, open quote, if I understand the market well enough, I will win, close quote. But the truth is, open quote, if I understand that I can't control the market, I will stop losing, close quote. You've misunderstood the relationship between knowledge and behavior. Think of an alcoholic. He knows alcohol destroys the liver, ruins families, kills feelings. He's read all the material, watched all the videos, heard all the advice. He knows everything. Yet tonight, when emotions hit, he still fills the glass. Sound familiar? So it is with traders. You may know the exact entry point, but still hold the loss in denial. You may understand money management, yet increase lot size after a loss. You may quote trading in the zone and still revenge trade just because it just reversed. Knowledge resides in the neocortex. Behavior stems from the reflex system. This is the difference between knowing and becoming. The one who knows speaks correctly. The one who becomes acts correctly, even without thinking. And in trading, when the market moves against you, you don't have time to think. You only have reflex. Why are you rational before a trade but irrational during? Because when there's no risk, your prefrontal cortex, the rational brain, is in charge. But when real money is at stake, when P&L starts flashing, the limbic brain, your emotional center, takes control. And it doesn't respond to logic. It reacts based on emotional memories of past losses, fear of losing control, the need to prove yourself. You may know cutting the loss is the right move, but your emotions scream, open quote, no, if you cut now, you're admitting you're weak, you're admitting you're weak, close quote, so you stay and you lose it all. The danger of being knowledgeable is overconfidence. I used to think I was different because I knew more. I looked down on beginner traders. I laughed when others revenge traded until I did the exact same thing. Worse, even because I traded larger with foolish confidence. Knowledge can become poison if it's not paired with humility and discipline. Knowledge helps you explain the market. Discipline helps you survive it. You don't need to know everything to succeed. You only need to know when not to trade, when to exit, when to step away. But this isn't sexy. It's not as attractive as 78% win rate strategy or magic indicator, because it's not something you learn, it's something you become. Shashat from knowing, becoming equals from analysis, reflex. You don't need another course. You need to systematize your reflexes so that when a trade turns red, you exit, not hold in denial. When emotions rise, you stop, not push through. When you win big, you don't overtrade from excitement. This is what Mark Douglas called, open quote, a probabilistic mindset internalized at the identity level. Close quote, a new identity, no longer acting on emotion, but led by inner principles. I used to be a smart trader. Then I became a chronic loser because I thought being smart was enough. I tried to fight emotions with logic. Open quote, I'm not weak, I understand the market. Close quote, but emotion doesn't need reason. It only needs an excuse to explode. And I justified every wrong action with logical sounding lies. Open quote, I entered this trade to test a reaction zone. I cut early to reduce risk. I increased lot size because of strong momentum. Close quote. They sounded right, but they were all ways to avoid admitting I had lost. So what's the solution? How do you not just know, but become? That's what I'll share in the next part. But first, you must recognize this truth. Open quote. Trading doesn't reward those who know a lot. Trading punishes those who don't do the right thing consistently. Close quote. The difference between a professional and an amateur: discipline when no one is watching. What do you need right now? Not another new pattern, not another analysis video. You need a system for emotional regulation, a framework to help you stop at the right moment, a new internal version of yourself, one that's not easily triggered. You don't need more information. You need to rebuild your architecture. Open quote. Knowledge is light, but if you haven't learned how to hold the lamp properly, it can still blind you and make you fall. Close quote. You can know everything about the market, but if you don't understand yourself, you'll still lose. Badly. In the next part, I'll share how I reprogrammed my emotional reactions. It's not a secret. It's a training system that helped me go from a panicked reactor to someone who knows when to stop. Now you'll see. Open quote. Rebuilding discipline isn't about controlling yourself with willpower. It's about reprogramming your decision-making system. Haha. Mark Douglas was right. Open quote. The market will always offer you the opportunity to destroy yourself. Mark Douglas, Trading in the Zone, close quote. I once read that quote and skimmed past it. It sounded good. It sounded true. I even highlighted it in neon yellow in my copy of Trading in the Zone. I thought I understood it. I believed I was immune. Then one day, I watched 70% of my account disappear in less than an hour, and I understood. Mark Douglas wasn't talking about the market. He was talking about me, about you, about the way we destroy ourselves while still believing we're fighting. The market doesn't kill you. You kill yourself with hope, illusion, and ego. Read the quote again. Open quote. The market will always offer you the opportunity to destroy yourself. Close quote. It doesn't say the market destroys you. It says offers you the opportunity. That means the market is neutral. It presents opportunities, and you choose whether to use them to grow or implode. The market has no emotions, but you do. And because you have emotions, you react. Because you react, you lose control. Because you lose control, you destroy yourself. And the most painful part? You do it believing you're doing the right thing. The market doesn't need to be smarter than you. It only needs to be more patient. In the hundreds of hours you spend trading, there will be moments when you are sad, lonely, angry, overconfident, desperate to prove something knocking. And in those moments, the market will sit still. It won't yell, it won't warn you, it will simply open the door to self-destruction, silently, and you'll be the one walking in with your own hands. Mark Douglas didn't write a book about trading. He wrote a book about the trader. Many people read Trading in the Zone looking for strategies, but it contains no strategies. It contains truths. Truths like, open quote, you don't lose because you lack knowledge. You lose because you don't understand how you behave under pressure. Close quote. I once thought the market betrayed me. Now I know I betrayed myself. I set stop losses and then moved them. I wrote trading plans and ignored them. I promised to stop if I lost and then doubled my position. No one made me do that. Not the market, not the news, not AI. I just couldn't tolerate the feeling of helplessness. Mark Douglas named the trader's core problem perfectly: the illusion of control. I wanted to control the trend, the speed of price, the outcome of each trade, fairness, how the market should behave. And when the market didn't follow my plan, I revolted. That wasn't trading. That was a child throwing a tantrum. Why was Mark Douglas so right? Because he understood. Open quote, the market is the only place where every illusion can be entertained and the only place where every illusion gets punished. Close quote. You want control? The market gives you 5 wins at the start of the week. You think you've mastered it? It reverses the moment you go full lot. You think you've figured out the trend? It goes sideways for 3 days and eats your patience alive. Trading is the harshest identity test. There is Mark Douglas wrote, open quote, trading forces you to confront who you are, not who you pretend to be. Close quote. And he was right. Trading gives you no choice. It shows you your strengths, your flaws, your fears. Your anger, your emptiness, your pride. No profession exposes you the way this one does. I thought I was disciplined until I won consistently. I thought I was calm until I lost 3 trades in a row. I thought I was emotionless until I held a losing trade down 40%. Mark Douglas didn't glamorize trading, he simply told the truth. The market is a mirror for identity. It doesn't lie, it doesn't flatter, it doesn't hate, it just reflects who you are when no one is watching and you have nothing left to hide behind. And if you're not ready to see that truth, the market will hurt you again and again until you finally face it. My greatest lesson from Mark Douglas, open quote, you don't need to control the market, you just need to stop trying to. Close quote. Trading doesn't require you to be right every time. It only asks that you be consistent in your discipline, accept losses as part of the game, avoid tying your self-worth to results, let go of the need for the market to validate you. Trading is probability, but your mind craves certainty. Mark Douglas emphasized, open quote, anything can happen. You don't need to know what's going to happen next to make money. Close quote. It sounds easy, but it's hard to live by because your mind wants certainty. It wants to believe this trade is guaranteed to win. My reasoning is flawless. If I'm a good trader, I must win. But trading says, open quote, no, you can do everything right and still lose, close quote. Open quote, the market doesn't punish you. It holds up a mirror and asks, do you have the courage to take responsibility? Close quote. Mark Douglas didn't glorify trading, he stripped it bare. And if you're brave enough to truly read his words, you'll realize, open quote, he didn't teach you how to beat the market, he taught you how to stop beating yourself. Close quote. In the next part, I'll ask you one question. Open quote, are you trading with a strategy or with your ego? Close quote. And if you're not sure of the answer, you may already be under its control without real. Are you also programmed to fail? Open quote, you don't have a strategy problem, you have a subconscious identity problem. Close quote. I want you to pause for a moment. No need to open charts. No need to think about your next trade. Just ask yourself, open quote, am I trading like a professional or simply acting out a failure script I've been programmed with? Close quote. You may think you're in control, but in reality, you're just repeating yourself. Do you recognize these? Feeling anxious right after entering a trade, desperate to get it back after one loss, cutting winning trades too early, holding on to losing trades for too long, unable to stop trading when you're down, telling yourself this time will be different, but it never is. If you're nodding, here's the painful truth. You're programmed to fail. Your failure isn't an accident. It's a behavioral loop written long ago. I used to think I was free, that I was making decisions when I clicked a trade. But when I reviewed 6 months of trading journals, I saw the same patterns. I lost for the same reasons. I broke discipline the same way. I made the same excuses over and over. I wasn't trading. I was reenacting a script that my subconscious had written long ago. We're not programmed by the market. We're programmed by our past. If you were shamed for being wrong, you'll avoid accepting a losing trade. If you once won by going big, you'll believe large positions equals fast success. If you were looked down on after failing, you'll revenge trade to prove yourself. If you once won by luck, you'll chase feelings instead of a strategy. None of this is on the chart. It's inside you. And the cruel part? You think you're analyzing, but you're really just replaying emotional memories. Pesht, you're not unlucky. You're just being run by outdated code. That code might come from how you were raised, how adults handled your mistakes, childhood beliefs about money, the fear of being seen as a failure, the pressure to repay your family, the desire to prove your worth through trading results. All of it lives in your subconscious. And every time you open a chart, those lines of code start running. You don't see it, but it controls you. You can set a stop loss, you can write a trading plan, but if your subconscious is whispering, open quote, losing is shameful, close quote, then even when you know you should exit, you'll stay just to protect your ego. Your biggest enemy isn't the market. It's the fact that you don't know you're being controlled. You think you entered because of a rationale. But in truth, you did it because you were feeling down, you needed to feel productive, you couldn't accept being outperformed, you felt empty without a trade open. Trading didn't create those issues. It just exposed what was already there. Are you tying your identity to trading? Mark Douglas said it best. Open quote, if you tie your self-worth to the outcome of a trade, you've already lost, whether that trade wins or loses. Close quote. I used to feel like a loser after 2 losing trades, and I felt like a genius after 3 wins. That's not the mindset of a trader. That's someone trying to fill an internal void through trading. You can't change results if you don't change the person creating them. No formula will stop your revenge trades if deep inside you're still afraid to lose, needing to prove yourself, tied to your win rate, feeling worthless when your account is down. The harsh truth is this: you don't need a new strategy. You need to reset the identity of the one doing the trading. You're not losing because you don't know enough. You're losing because you've become someone who needs to lose, to stay within a familiar pattern. And if you don't have the courage to admit that, you'll keep repeating yourself year after year. So, how do you escape the failure script? Step 1, and the hardest one, is to stop lying to yourself. Ask yourself, what do I really want from trading? Am I using trading to avoid something else? Am I tying my self-worth to my results? Am I trading with the emotions of a child who once felt abandoned, hurt, pressured? Small exercise. Write a letter to your old self. Write down the emotions you often feel when trading, your biggest fear when you lose, the real reason you can't stop. Then rewrite. Open quote, I no longer need to win to feel worthy. I trade like someone free from the pressure to prove anything. Close quote. Open quote, you're not failing because you're weak. You're failing because you haven't realized you were programmed to. Close quote. Trading won't save you, but it can be the place where you start rewriting your programming. In the next part, I'll show you, open quote, how I began scanning my emotional operating system to stop acting on old reflexes. Close quote. I'll share how I built a detection and interruption system for self-destructive behaviors. So I didn't need to force discipline with willpower. I just naturally did the right thing. This was the turning point, not just thinking differently, but becoming someone different from the inside. Trading is not about winning, open quote. The best traders don't win the most. They lose well. Close quote. You want to win. I get it. I've been there too. Every time I opened the chart, my mind screamed, open quote, I have to win today. I need to recover. I must beat my target. I have to be right. Close quote. I believed trading was a contest of win rates. Whoever had the higher percentage was the better trader. Whoever had the most accurate analysis deserved success. Then I met a professional trader with a 38% win rate. He wasn't stressed, he didn't panic, he didn't revenge trade, and he made a living from trading. That's when I realized I had misunderstood the game completely. The win-loss mindset is what's killing you. You think you need a win to bounce back, to feel good, to regain momentum. But really, what you're chasing is a win to feel worthy, which means, open quote, you're not trading the market, you're trading your ego, close quote. And the market doesn't pay your ego. It only pays probability plus discipline. Trading doesn't require you to win often. It only asks you to cut your losses quickly, let your profits run, follow your rules. These are simple concepts, but very hard to stick to when you're focused on having to win. I once had a 72% win rate and still lost money. Sounds impossible, right? But if you win 10 trades at plus 1% each and lose 3 trades at negative 5% each, you're down net 5%. It's like doing 10 good things and 3 bad ones, and your reputation is destroyed by the 3. The best traders understand this. Open quote, winning doesn't matter as much as losing with control. Close quote. You must accept losing isn't the problem. Your attitude toward losing is. Mark Douglas said, open quote, anything can happen. Close quote, which means a perfect setup can still lose, a flawless analysis can still be wrong, a 10-10 signal can still get invalidated. You can't control outcomes. You can only control how you enter, how you exit, how you respond to losses. I used to hate losing so much. I did everything I could to avoid it. I moved my stop loss, I traded without one, I held in hope, I avoided checking my account, I traded bigger right after a small loss to balance it out. And the irony? Open quote. Avoiding losses led to even bigger ones. Close quote. The need to win trap makes you reactive, not systematic. You see a good signal, but just lost a trade, fear takes over, you skip it. You just had a big win, overconfident, overtrade. You want to maintain your streak, lose objectivity. All of it comes from one mindset. Open quote, I need to win. Close quote. Don't chase a high win rate strategy. Build a system that loses small, wins bigger than it loses, executes consistently like a machine. Probability thinking isn't theory, it's a professional trader's way of life. They don't need to win today, they just need to win over time. Amateurs want immediate wins. Pros want positive net results after 100 trades. See the difference? One is emotion, the other is system. How did I change? I started to track every win and loss, evaluate behavior, not just results, practice cutting losses without hesitation, practice taking profits according to plan without greed. Most importantly, stop expecting to recover after every loss. One trade is just a link in a long chain. It doesn't define you. Real example, 1 week, I lost 5 trades in a row. Each loss was might as 1%, account down 5%. I didn't panic. The next week I won 2 trades, each at plus 4%. Net result over 2 weeks, plus 3% profit with a win rate of only 28%. Open quote, I didn't need to win often, I just needed not to lose big, close quote. The mindset of not needing to win to succeed is true freedom, no pressure, no forcing, no acting, just executing, just following the system. You trade with an investor's mindset, not as an emotional gambler. Have small practice, rewrite your trading goals. Instead of win 80% of trades, make $500 a day, no losses today. Try, execute 100% of my plan per trade, cut losses when wrong without emotional pain, evaluate myself by process, not results, review performance after 100 trades, not one. Identity shift, from someone who wants to win to someone who executes their system. This is the beginning of the identity shift I'll go deeper into during the mastery phase, but for now, understand this. Open quote, you don't need to win a lot, you just need to lose right. Close quote. Open quote. The market doesn't reward you for being right. It rewards you for managing your losses. In the next part, I'll show you how your brain is actually working against proper trading and why, unless you understand the biology of emotion, you'll always get swept up in a storm of panic when the market doesn't go your way. Trading isn't just a game on the chart, it's a battle inside your brain. Now, you'll see why calmness is not a personality trait, it's a skill you can. The brain is not built for trading. Open quote, your amygdala is killing your P&L. Close quote. If you've ever said to yourself, why did I just do that after a losing trade? You're not alone. I've been there too. I knew that trade wasn't part of my plan. I knew I shouldn't have entered while angry. I knew I should have cut the loss early. I knew I shouldn't have gone full lot after just losing. And I still did it. The most haunting part wasn't the money I lost. It was the fact that I lost control of myself even though I knew better. Why does this happen? Because your brain isn't built for trading. Trading goes against your primal survival instincts. Simple brain anatomy, 3 parts of your brain are fighting each other. Limbic system, midbrain, controls emotions, fear, impulses, desires. Center, amygdala, the danger alarm. Reptilian brain, brainstem. Handles primitive reflexes. Fight, flight, freeze, responsible for survival decisions. Prefrontal cortex, forebrain, handles logic, reasoning, strategic thinking, home of discipline and decision-making. What happens during a losing trade? Amygdala sounds the alarm. Danger, losing money equals losing survival. Reptilian brain kicks in, fight or run. Prefrontal cortex, your logic, gets disconnected. In other words, you're no longer thinking, you're just reacting. Like a wounded animal, you either fight, increase lot size, revenge trade, flight, shut the screen, avoid looking at your account, freeze, hold the loss, afraid to exit. You didn't lose discipline. You lost access to the part of your brain that creates discipline. This doesn't mean you're weak. It just means you're human. Humans have evolved for millions of years to react emotionally to threats, but trading requires you to respond logically to financial risk. Those two systems are in constant conflict. Trading forces you to sit still in a storm of dopamine plus cortisol. Dopamine spikes when you're expecting a win, cortisol spikes when your trade is in danger. This combo creates chronic stress, and your brain starts to act in ways that relieve stress, not in ways that follow your plan or system. Psychology isn't bad, but if unmanaged, it will rule you. Excitement leads to over-leveraging. Anger leads to impulsive entries. Guilt leads to avoiding your trade journal. Pride leads to recklessness. No emotion is inherently wrong, but if you don't recognize them, they will control you. Understand how the brain works. You stop blaming yourself and start building a system. Examples: sweaty palms, sign of cortisol, step away from the screen, rapid heartbeat, amygdala is active, breathe, journal, delay decisions, just had a big win, dopamine is peaking, cool down for 15 minutes. This isn't a hack, it's biology. Emotions aren't the enemy. Not recognizing emotions is. I used to think I have to eliminate emotions to trade well. The truth? Open quote, you can't eliminate emotions, but you can train how you respond to them. Close quote. Exercise. Create your personal emotional map. Step 1, list 3 emotions that often show up in trading: anxiety, anger, excitement. Step 2, identify the physical signs: rapid heartbeat, shaky hands, shallow breath, loss of focus. Step 3, record typical reactions: unplanned entries, revenge trades, early exits, oversizing. Step 4, define alternative actions. Step away for 5 minutes, journal your emotion, delay entry, drink water. Do this weekly. You'll start building your own emotional storm shield. We often build strategies for the market, but not for ourselves. You draw support and resistance. You study multi-time frame analysis. You memorize chart patterns. But when dopamine crashes through your brain, you throw all of that out the window. Why? Because you never created a plan for your emotions. A pro trader doesn't control the market. They control their nervous system. I once met a highly successful trader. He told me, open quote, I don't need more strategies. I need more time to train stillness. Close quote. Stillness doesn't mean meditating for hours. It means the ability to pause before clicking, notice emotions rising, respond with intention, not impulse. My personal trading pre-check protocol. Before I enter any trade, I ask myself 3 questions. 1, what is my body telling me? Is my heart racing? Are my hands sweaty? Is my stomach tight? 2, what is my mind saying? I must win. This one is guaranteed. Let's make it back. 3, am I trying to prove something? To recover a loss? To beat the market? To validate myself? If I detect even one emotional signal, I don't enter the trade. You can't beat the market if you're being run by your primitive brain. The sooner you realize this, the sooner you will lose less, trade more calmly, trust your system, and finally, trade like an adult, not a wounded child. Open quote, your brain is not broken. It's just not built for trading. But if you understand how it works, you can train it. And when your nervous system calms down, your edge shows up. Close quote. In the next part, I'll show you how I retrained my nervous system so I no longer traded based on emotion. You'll see exactly how I turned discipline into reflex and reflex into identity. This was the moment I began rebuilding the trader within me. No more forcing control, but acting from a reprogram. How I rewired my mind. Open quote, if I wanted to trade like a pro, I had to stop thinking like an amateur. Close quote. Awareness is the first step. But without changing your internal system, you'll always end up back where you started. After all the painful losses, emotional breakdowns, and sleepless nights staring at a blood-red account, I came to a simple realization. Open quote, you can't force yourself to become a disciplined trader. You have to reprogram yourself. Close quote, I didn't need more willpower. I needed a new operating system, a new brain, new reflexes. That's when the rewiring journey began. I started with brutal honesty. I printed out 3 months of trading history, sat down alone, no phone, no music. I highlighted every trade that wasn't technically wrong, but emotionally driven, entered out of anger, entered from fear of missing out, revenge trades, held losses out of denial, took profit too early out of fear. 72% of my losing trades didn't come from bad strategy. They came from unconscious emotional reactions. I didn't rewrite my charts. I rewrote myself. I created an emotional journal, not to track entries, exits, or lot sizes, but to answer, what did I feel before entering? What was I expecting? What emotion was driving me? Fear, greed, anger, pride? What was I trying to prove? How did I react to the P&L? I wrote this every day. No analysis, just observation. The result? For the first time, I saw the real patterns. I wasn't losing because the market was ranging. I was losing because I traded after arguing with a loved one. I entered trades after poor sleep. I increased lot size after a big win. I refused to cut after 3 consecutive losses. Trading wasn't in the chart, it was in me. I rebuilt my reflex system, step by step, like an engineer. I understood. Once emotions are triggered, logic can't control them. So I didn't try to be stronger. I built behavioral guardrails, so I didn't have to be strong to stay disciplined. Five tools I use to rewire my mind. Step 1, the 3P protocol. Pause, pattern, plan. Before entering any trade, I had to pause for at least 60 seconds. Pattern, ask, am I entering from a signal or an emotion? Plan, open my trading plan. Check if all 3 conditions are met. If even one step was missing, no trade. At first, it felt awkward, but after just 1 month, it became habitual. Hack 2, physical rule card. Right in front of my screen, I wrote 3 non-negotiable rules on a small card and stuck it on my monitor. No trades immediately after a loss, no position size increase outside the plan, no trading without at least 6 hours of sleep. That tiny card saved me from destroying my account at least 10 times. 3. Is my mind stable? Checklist before every session. Each morning, I asked, did I sleep well? Am I emotionally stressed, non-trading related? Am I trying to recover something? Am I forcing myself to win today? If any answer was yes, I didn't trade that day. 4. 2-minute breathing reset. Before each session, I'd sit in silence and start a 2-minute timer. Open quote, inhale 4s, hold 4s, exhale 4s, hold 4s, box breathing, used by Navy SEALs to reset their nervous system in high-stress situations. Close quote. Trading is a neurological battlefield. What you need is calmness, not conquest. 5. Trader identity declaration. I wrote, open quote, I am a trader, not a gambler. I do not measure my self-worth by today's P&L. I don't trade to feel better. I trade when the system gives me a reason. Close quote. Every morning, I read it aloud in front of a mirror. Every night, I rewrote it, especially if I broke a rule that day. 2 months later, yes, I still had losing trades, but I no longer lost from emotions. No more revenge, no more panic, no more rule breaking. I started seeing myself as a real trader, not just a hopeful gambler hiding behind pretty charts. The most important shift, I stopped trying to be disciplined. I became disciplined. That was the turning point. You don't need to pretend to be a pro trader. You need to become one from the inside out. And here's the paradox. I started winning more when I stopped trying to win. I just executed. No expectations, no drama. 1 trade equals 1 step in the system. That's it. And once my reflexes were rewired, I no longer feared the market. Open quote, I had become the calm in the storm. Close quote. Your practice, build your own system. Create a 3-rule card you never break. Track your emotions before and after each trade. Write a trader identity statement. Read it every morning before opening charts. Create a pre-session reset ritual. Breath, writing, pause. Open quote, you don't trade the market, you trade your beliefs, your reactions, your identity. Change those and everything changes. Close quote. Coming next, open quote, the mindset shift that took my psychology to the next level. Close quote. Discipline isn't rigid control. Discipline is freedom from emotional chaos. I'll show you how I turned rules into companions, not prisons, and how I discovered, open quote, a disciplined trader isn't tense. They're relaxed, accurate, and free from temptation. The power of rules without emotion, open quote, rules don't restrict you, they rescue you from your own chaos, close quote. When I first started building a rule-based system, I hated it. I felt like it made me stiff, killed my creativity, tied me down. I once told a friend, open quote, if I have to follow rules like a robot, what's the point of trading? Close quote. But I was wrong, completely wrong. I was speaking like someone who had never tasted the true freedom that comes from the right rules. We often think freedom means no restrictions, but in trading, real freedom is not being controlled by emotion. And rules, when designed correctly, free you from emotional hijacking. No more panicking during drawdowns, getting euphoric after wins, increasing lot size out of impulse, holding losing trades out of hope, trading when you shouldn't be trading. None of these accidents come from the market. They come from not having a system to protect you from yourself. You don't need more emotion in trading. You need less and more principles. Without rules, every trade becomes an emotional battleground. Should I hold this, cut now, or wait? Should I go full margin? I won. Should I stop for the day? You're exhausted from making decisions in a storm of emotion, and the more you decide emotionally, the more you lose control. The right rules let you decide before emotion takes over. They don't trap you. They help you survive long enough to win this game. How I built my rule system. I designed 3 layers of rules. Layer 1, never ever rules, survival protocols. Never trade when tired, stressed, or sleep deprived. No revenge trades after a loss. Never trade without confirming setup conditions. Never enter without a stop loss. Never exceed predefined lot size. Never check P&L during open trades. These are non-negotiable. If I break one, I stop trading immediately. Layer 2, operational rules, trading flow. Only enter trades with all 3 setup conditions met. Log every trade, reason, time frame, expectations. Always exit with minimum RR of 1-2. After 2 consecutive losses, break for 1 hour. After 3 red days in a row, stop 24H plus review system. This is my execution framework, so I operate like a machine, not a mood. Layer 3, emotional triggers, self-defense rules. Heart racing, do box breathing. Just had a big win, no trades for 30 mins. I'm 100% right on this feeling. Delay entry, 5 mins, feeling FOMO, close charts for 15 minutes. These are nervous system protectors, built to stop my brain from hijacking my strategy. At first, I resisted these rules, but then I noticed something amazing. My mind became lighter. No more overthinking, no more emotional loops, no more guilt after bad decisions. I just followed the system. No need to act like a superhero. Why rules make you a better trader? 1. Reduce decision fatigue. Your brain has a limited number of quality decisions per day. Rules conserve your willpower fuel for what really matters. 2. Lower guilt and self-blame. If you followed the rule and still lost, it's easier to accept. No more I should've. 3. Increase consistency. A system that doesn't change daily, more reliable outcomes, easier to optimize and trust. 4. Detach from results. Focus shifts from outcome to process. You stop overreacting to every single trade. The right rules help you master reflexes. Instead of becoming a hostage to emotion, trading is a repetitive game. The right rules turn repetition into a weapon, not a trap. Important, rules should be GPS, not a prison. You don't need 100 rules. You just need a few sacred principles and a clear action system. Open quote, rules aren't there to control you. Rules are there to give you freedom through clarity, close quote. Practice. Write your trading commandments craft. 5 rules you will never break, such as no trading when sleep deprived, no revenge trades, no trading without journaling, no increasing lot size after a win, no holding trades beyond your session window. Print them. Post them in front of your screen. Read them every morning before you trade. A trader with rules is someone who has begun living through a system, not through emotion. I used to trade blind, driven by feelings and moods. Now I trade like a pilot, taking off and landing by checklist. Storm comes, I have a protocol. Turbulence hits, I have a map. Open quote, I don't panic anymore. I operate, I no longer react. Close quote. Open quote, discipline is not punishment. It's the highest form of self-respect. Your rules aren't cages, they're wings. Close quote. Coming next, I'll share with you the deepest transformation I've made. Not just at acting like a disciplined trader, but becoming a completely different person inside. Open quote, I call it the identity shift, close quote. This was the moment when everything stopped feeling like a struggle and started to feel natural, like the identity shift, becoming the trader you respect. Open quote, you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your identity. James Clear, close quote. You don't act on what you know, you act on who you believe you are. I used to have mornings like this. Wake up early, journal, review my rules, do some breathing, commit to being disciplined, and then just 1 hour later, I broke the rules. I revenge traded. I increased my lot size against my plan. I knew what to do, but I couldn't do it. Why? Because I was still the old me, just trying to act like someone new. And no one can pretend to be a successful trader forever. The mask shatters when real emotions rise. You can't sustain new behavior if your identity stays old. If deep down you believe, I have a short temper, I'm not great at discipline, I'm not a real trader, I'm just winging it. I trade, but I'm not a pro. Then no matter how many rules or checklists you write, you'll still break rules under pressure, make excuses when losing, hold losers when wrong. Because you'll always act in alignment with your internal self, not your external system. Behavior is the surface. Identity is the root. You don't need to try to be disciplined. You need to become a disciplined person. So how did I shift my identity? I rewrote the story I told myself, I realized. Most of my behaviors came from old narratives I kept repeating. I break rules, but it's just my personality. I didn't study finance, so it makes sense I'm emotional. I wasn't born to trade like those guys. These sound harmless, but they're background code, so I rewrote them. I'm someone who loses control. I'm learning to take more control every day. I'm not a real trader. I'm a committed trader, and I act like one every day. 2, I repeated my new identity like a ritual. Every morning I wrote this in my notebook. Open quote, I am a professional trader. I don't trade based on emotion. I have nothing to prove to the market. I follow my system, and I'm proud of my calmness. Close quote. I repeated it again and again, not out of superstition, but because the brain builds belief through frequency, not logic. 3, I practiced acting as if. I asked myself, open quote, what would the trader I respect do in this moment? Close quote. Cut the loss, walk away for the day, not enter the trade, stay silent instead of reacting. I didn't need to believe I was that person. I just needed to act like them. And the strange thing is, when you repeat the actions of your higher self, you become that self. 4, I defined my trader identity declaration. I wrote it down like a personal manifesto. Open quote, I am not a gambler. I am not a victim of emotion. I am calm, intentional, and precise. I don't measure my worth by a single win. I measure myself by how well I follow the plan. I don't trade to feel good. I trade to execute a clear system. I am the trader I once admired. Close quote. I read it every night when the mind is quiet, and I visualized I already was that person. The result, I started responding like that new identity. No revenge trades after a 3-loss streak. No impulse trades, even when the setup looked good. No checking P&L, only the chart. No trading when not mentally ready. I no longer had to force myself to do the right thing, because doing the right thing had become who I am. When identity is aligned, behavior adjusts itself, no forcing needed. Just like a vegetarian doesn't struggle to avoid meat, they just don't eat it because it's no longer who they are. Great trading isn't a skill game, it's an identity game. You can master every indicator, every strategy, every chart pattern, but if deep down you're still the person who panics during drawdowns, the one who gets euphoric after wins, the one who hates being wrong, you'll always revert to the old self, break the system, ignore the plan, and beat yourself up. Open quote. If you want consistent trading, start by building a consistent identity. Close quote. Practice. Kickstart your personal identity shift. 1, write down 3 old beliefs you often say to yourself, e.g., I'm too impulsive, I get FOMO, I'm bad with discipline. 2, rewrite them into realistic, empowering versions, e.g., I'm learning to be patient, I'm aware of my triggers. 3, write your trader identity declaration, 4 to 5 lines describing the person you're becoming. 4, read it every morning before trading. Open quote, you don't trade your system. You trade your self-image. Change that, and you change everything. Coming next, I'll share one of the defining moments in my journey. The moment I stepped into the market, open quote, not as someone afraid to lose, but as someone who accepted risk as part of the game, close quote. You'll see exactly what it feels like to trade, not as someone trying to be a trader, but as someone who's already become one. No more effort. The day I felt no fear, open quote. I placed the trade, I watched it move against me, and I felt nothing. close quote. I never thought this day would come, a day when I entered a trade, the market moved against me, and I didn't panic, I didn't rush, I didn't feel a sting in my chest, I didn't yell, I didn't clench my jaw, I didn't think about adding more to recover. I just watched, like a witness, detached. And that's when I realized, open quote, I've started mastering myself, close quote. It was a trading day like any other, but it changed how I saw myself forever. I remember every detail. Pair GBP USD, setup, break retest, risk 1.5%, aligned with system, entry after 3 valid signals, stop loss 35 pips, target 70 pips. I entered the trade at 8:40 a.m., immediately went in at his 20 pips, low liquidity, hesitant price action, red candles. But inside was a strange stillness. I sat upright. I didn't click the mouse. I didn't check my P&L. I didn't close the trade early. I didn't second guess the setup. I already knew the market could do this, and I had a plan for it. I told myself, open quote, I'm not here to be right. I'm here to execute a system, close quote. That trade hit stop loss after 30 minutes. I saw the notification, minus 1.5%. I closed the laptop, took a breath, wrote one line in my journal, open quote, executed perfectly, no emotional breach, 10 points, close quote, no blame, no sadness, no fake positivity. I was truly okay. Not because I was numb, but because I had transformed. I no longer saw a losing trade as a failure. I no longer saw a stop loss as pain. I no longer needed a win to feel worthy. I wasn't the trader who feared losing anymore. I was the trader who knew how to lose well. Biologically, my nervous system had reset. No more fight or flight mode. No more stress spikes. No more reactions from the reptilian brain, amygdala. I was operating from my prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for strategy, awareness, executive control. That's the highest state a trader can be in. Yeah. After that day, I traded from a completely different place. I knew. Every trade is probability, not prophecy. My results don't define me. The market owes me nothing. I don't need to prove anything, not even to myself. And the 5 signs you're gaining emotional mastery. You don't chase revenge trades after losses. You sleep well even after a losing streak. You don't increase size recklessly after wins. You don't feel the urge to trade every day. You can walk away from the screen without guilt. You start to understand peace matters more than the thrill of victory, because peace is what keeps you in the game long enough to win it. Open quote. Traders who survive long enough are the ones who win. Close quote. I realized fearlessness is a skill, not a personality trait. I wasn't born calm. I once slammed my mouse, screamed at the screen, threw my phone, cried in front of charts, held losing trades for 10 hours out of ego. I was exactly where you might be now, and I'm not ashamed of it, because that's where every real trader begins. What did I do repeatedly to reach that fearless state? 1, followed the plan like a habit, not a debate. No hesitation. If it matched the system, I entered. If it didn't, I let it go. 2, wrote an emotional journal daily without skipping, not about P&L, but how I felt before, during, and after each trade. 3, deep breathing before every trade. As a ritual box breathing, 4-4-4-4-4 for 2 minutes. It activates the parasympathetic system, calming the body and mind. 4. Trained neutral stop loss with intention, took small trades with tight stops, let them hit SL, no reaction, did it again and again and again, trained my body to accept loss as normal. 5, read my identity declaration every night. Open quote, I am not someone who wins a lot. I am someone who knows how to lose properly. Close quote. The day I felt no fear wasn't because the market was kind. It was because I was ready to receive any outcome. When you don't need the market to be right, you become unshakable. When you don't need to win to feel enough, you become truly powerful. Open quote. Fear disappears not when the market becomes predictable, but when you become stable. Close quote. Open quote. The goal isn't to win every trade. The goal is to become the kind of person who doesn't panic in any trade. Close quote. Coming next, I'll show you how I built a trading system rooted in emotional intelligence, a framework that doesn't just rely on technical setups, but puts psychology, emotion, and reflex at the center of the process. Because in the end, open quote, your system won't save you if you can't save yourself. Close quote. And I'll give you the tools to build a system that's solid like stone, but fluid like emotional intelligence trading system, open quote. The best trading system is the one that accounts for your emotions, not just the market, close quote. After years of chasing the perfect trading system, I realized something shocking. I didn't lose because I lacked setups. I lost because I lacked an emotional system. You can have a 65% win rate strategy, a solid 1-day 2 RR plan, precise indicators, proper risk management. But if your psychology breaks, the result will still be loss. Your technical system is only 50% or even less. The rest is your emotional system. You don't need a new strategy. You need a new way of operating yourself within the strategy you already have. So what is an emotional intelligence trading system? It's a system where emotions are part of the formula, not ignored, suppressed, or feared, but monitored, acknowledged, and met with specific responses. It's built on 3 system layers. SHAR-1, system thinking, logic structure. This is the part most traders already know. Clear entries, fixed stop losses, defined risk-reward, set trading sessions, back-tested data, clear edge. This is the foundation, but it's not enough. 2, self-monitoring layer. Most traders only track setup, result, but what's more important is tracking emotional state before, during, after the trade. I built an emotion tracker for each trade with 3 stages. Stage, emotional questions, notes. Note, before, what am I feeling? Anxious, excited, FOMO, write 1-2 words. During, is my heart racing? Am I glued to the screen? Am I getting pulled in? Scale of 1 to 5. After, do I feel relief or regret? Do I want to keep trading? Be honest. Each day includes not just trade review, but emotion review. I call it EQ journal. Nash 3, reactive protocols, emotion response system. This layer helps you respond correctly when emotions arise. I pre-design alternative actions for specific emotional states. Emotion, backup response, concrete action. FOMO, delay 15 minutes, close charts, write in journal. Revenge urge, recenter, shut screen, take a 5-minute walk. Overexcitement, cool down, no trades for 30 minutes. Overconfidence, reality check, read last 3 journal entries. Fear of losing, reframe. Reread stop loss is the cost of survival. This isn't advice, this is a neural defense layer. Open quote, I don't wait for emotions to disappear before I trade. I prepare a system so that emotions don't sabotage me. Close quote. Tools I use to integrate EQ into my trading. 1. Emotion tagging system. Every trade gets an emotion tag: calm, FOMO, venge, fear, overconfidence. At the end of each week, I summarize what % of trades were taken in the calm state. This is my psychological KPI, more important than win rate. 2. Pre-trade EMC checklist. Emotion, mind, clarity. Before every session, I ask, emotion, am I carrying unresolved emotions? Mind, am I rushing? Am I attached to an outcome? Clarity, can I see the market probabilistically? If the answer is no to any, no trading. NAR 3, trading from stillness, ritual. Before I start trading, turn off all notifications, sit in silence for 2 minutes, do box breathing, 4-4-4-4. Read my identity declaration, open chart, check system. I don't enter the market in heat, I enter in calm. Cash, I no longer get pulled by every candle. I begin to see the market as it is, not how I want it to be. When you build a system with EQ, you don't need to force self-control. You simply guide yourself gently but firmly, with structure, with supportive habits, with pre-made decisions. You don't trade with your eyes alone. You trade with your entire nervous system. And when you gain control of the inner system, no market wave can knock you down. Tash benefits I experienced after building my EQ system. No more impulsive trades after a loss. No more I'm useless feelings after hitting SL. No more FOMO after missing entries. No more pressure to win today. Most importantly, trading became lighter, not a burden. Practice. Start building your own EQ trading system. Create a 3-stage emotion journal. Before, during, after. Add emotional tags to each trade. Design a reaction table for your top emotional triggers. Use the EMC checklist before every session. Create a daily stillness ritual before opening charts. Open quote, the best traders don't suppress their emotions. They listen to them and have systems to handle them. Close quote. Open quote, a real edge isn't just in entry logic, it's in how fast you emotionally recover. Close quote. Coming next, I'll share one of the strangest turning points in my journey. Open quote, when I started trading less, but my results got better. Close quote. We'll explore the art of doing nothing, a skill that sounds simple, but separates the beginner. The art of doing nothing, open quote. Sometimes the most profitable trade is the one you didn't take, close quote. It took me 2 years to master a skill that sounds like a joke. Doing nothing. No clicking, no forcing setups in the mark, no trying to save a trade. Just sit, watch, wait. It sounds easy, but in practice, harder than any technical analysis. Because human nature is wired to act when uncomfortable. We feel, if I don't trade, I'm missing out. If I skip today, I'm falling behind. If I take a break, I'm lazy. That mindset leads to entering trades you shouldn't, chasing moves that already happened, trading to do something, not because of a setup. The result, losses, emotional fatigue, and burnout. I used to be that person. I was afraid of a quiet chart, afraid of sitting still, afraid of a day passing with no action, afraid I wasn't a real trader if I didn't place a trade. I remember a day clearly. No solid setup. I stared at charts all morning. No trade. Then the voice in my head whispered, open quote, just take a small one. Test the market. Don't waste the whole day. What if this is the trend? Close quote. I clicked. And just like you guessed, lost a clean 2R. No reason, no edge. I sat there frozen and I realized, open quote, I wasn't trading a system. I was trading to fill an emotional void. Close quote. That moment changed me. I began to study the art of doing nothing. Doing nothing isn't laziness, it's mastery of control. You do nothing when there's no clear probability, conditions aren't met, your mental state is off, you feel emotional urgency. That's the smartest trade you can make that day. I broke down doing nothing into 3 levels of practice. 1, passive observation, watching without reacting, just watch the market. No trades, no demos, no predictions. Observe price behavior like a scientist. At first, it's uncomfortable. You'll feel the itch, the restlessness. But after a few days, you'll begin to see charts more objectively, stop reacting to every candle, spot false setups you used to jump on. R2, active discipline, letting it even when it looks okay. This is a higher level. You see a setup, it almost meets your criteria. It looks decent. You think, maybe I could take it, and you don't. That's when you become a master. Because you're saying, open quote, I don't need the market to give me something. I only play where I hold the edge, close quote. R3, strategic reset, intentionally not trading. There are days I look at the market and know, open quote, I'm not in the right mindset. This market is choppy, not worth it, close quote. And I tell myself, open quote, step away, today is not a fight worth fighting, close quote. So I close the laptop and go train, go journal, go for a walk. No guilt, no fear of missing out. That's peak freedom. And here's the magic. The more I practiced doing nothing, the more consistently I won. Filtered out 70% of bad trades, avoided emotional losing streaks, saved energy for high-quality setups. No more FOMO, no more pressure to trade. Good trading isn't about knowing when to enter. It's about knowing when not to. You're not paid per click. You're paid for patience, precision, emotional composure. And those only emerge when you've mastered the art of, open quote, sitting still, waiting, doing nothing, close quote. Practice, train the doing nothing skill. 1, pick 1 day per week to not trade. No matter how good the setup looks, just observe and take notes. 2, write a non-action win journal. Record the times you didn't enter and it saved you from losses. 3, create a no-trade filter. Define clear no-trade conditions. Setup meets only 2/3 criteria. You're mentally distracted. You feel an urge to make it back. When you become patient, the market has to pay a premium for your participation. You're not a desperate hunter. You're a sniper, selective, silent. And when you strike, it's not out of impulse, but from awakened awareness. Open quote, doing nothing is the highest form of control. Sometimes the best move is no move at all, close quote. Coming next. In the final chapter, I'll share a story I've never told before. Open quote. The day I was reborn from the ashes after losing nearly all my capital, my confidence, and my identity. Close quote. From that place of ruin, I rebuilt myself. Brick by brick, rule by rule, breath by breath. This is the Phoenix Protocol, a resurrection roadmap for those who think it's too late to come back. Phoenix Protocol, the day I came back from the ashes. Open quote. Every traitor has a grave, but not every traitor dares to rise from it. Close quote. I lost 70% of my account in one day, but the deepest pain wasn't the money, it was the loss of belief. I no longer believed in my system. I no longer believed in myself. I no longer believed I could come back. I avoided the screen for a whole week. I couldn't open MT4. I ignored messages from people who once copied my trades. I felt like a fraud, a dreamer, someone who thought he was skilled but was merely a lucky survivor. I was there, buried in the ashes, and I thought, maybe I should quit. But one night, I opened my old journal, flipped to the last page. A messy line I wrote months ago caught my eye. Open quote, the system didn't save me. I saved the system. Close quote. I broke down crying. That was the moment I realized I hadn't truly been trading. I'd been wrestling with myself, unfinished. I decided to be reborn, but not as the same person. I needed a protocol, a deliberate resurrection. I named it Phoenix Protocol, a roadmap for rebirth from the ashes, the 5 stages I used to come back upon. Open quote, not as a recovering loser, but as an entirely different being. Close quote. 1. Bury the old identity. I rewrote the entire loss, raw and real. No excuses, no sugarcoating, no justifying. I broke the system. I disobeyed my rules. I traded out of anger. I deserved the loss. Then I burned the paper. Not out of superstition, but to mark a funeral. Open quote, that traitor is dead. Close quote. 2. Clear the battlefield. I deleted all indicators, deleted bots, cleared trade history from my phone, left all signal channels. I wiped every trace of the old trader's world. It was like cleansing the battlefield. To start fresh with a new mind, a new war plan. At Huntershare 3, return to first principles. I rewrote my trading system, stripped to the core, minimalist setups, fixed risk, entries based on clear probability, defined emotional process. I printed the checklist, taped it on my wall, not to show off, but to make a public commitment to myself. 4. Practice with a small account like it's real. I funded $100 and treated it like $100,000. Every trade I executed, logging, reviewing, emotional tracking, nervous system regulation. I wasn't practicing to trade. I was practicing to live like a real trader in every reaction. 5. Lock in the identity with consistent action. For 21 straight days, wake up at 6 a.m., trading prep by 7 a.m., checklist-based entries, max 1 to 2 trades per day, evening review and journaling. No posts, no show-offs, no validation needed. Just quietly reprogramming myself. One breath, one rule, one choice at a time. The results didn't show up immediately, but I knew my new identity was forming. Not because I hit a big win, but because I noticed. No more FOMO, no more revenge trades, no urge to trade every day, no longer equating loss with failure. I had stepped into emotional neutrality, and that state is something 99% of traders never reach. The Phoenix Protocol doesn't help you return to who you were. It builds someone completely new, on the ashes of the old. You're not starting over, you're starting from the wisdom of your pain. Practice, design your own Phoenix Protocol. Write a farewell letter to your old self. Include every mistake, no justification. Wipe your old setup and toxic environments. Redesign your trading system. Minimal, clear, emotionless, start with a small account. Trade with elite mindset, commit to 21 days of consistent action. Reset your identity. Open quote, you are not your biggest loss. You are what you decide to become after it. Close quote. Open quote, the trader you admire isn't more talented, he simply refused to die after dying once. Close quote. Final manifesto. For you, standing in the ashes, I wasn't born disciplined. I learned it through every breakdown. I wasn't great from the start. I became someone who didn't quit. I'm not a successful trader. I'm a person who lives by a system I respect every day. And if you're in pain right now, if you've lost something, if you're thinking about giving up, remember this. Open quote, you're not broken. You're simply in the process of rebirth. Close quote. Open quote, from the ashes I rise, not because I must, but because I choose to.